They've continued to screen the ministerial nominees of President Bola Tinubu. It's been a long day for them, for those who have stood to watch and monitor the screening process. Today was an unusual one, almost suspended Festus Keyamo's screening. They adjourned. The president of the Senate went to the presidential villa. He came back and continued. But now we understand that they will now go and come back in another 1 hour. Welcome to Politics Today, everyone. I'm Sean Kimalo, and tonight we go straight to the point and letting you know what is happening in the state of affairs in the country and the politics of our dear nation. And tonight, we're going to be discussing two major issues, the ministerial nominees, and we'll also be getting an update on the Nigerian Labour Congress as relating to the negotiation between the Nigerian Labour and the federal government of the Federation. I have joining me tonight on the program a former member of the House of Representatives, Honorable Bimbo Daramola, is going to be giving us insight and analysis on what has happened today in the Senate. 3 names have gone missing in the confirmation process in the Senate today. Those names are Nasir El-Rufai, former governor of Kaduna State, Stella Okotete, who is a nominee from Delta State, and also there is another nominee whose name was missing, which is Abubakar Danladi from Taraba State. His name has not also been mentioned for confirmation, and we understand that this is due to security issues and confirmation and screening from the security. And tonight also we'll be hearing and getting updates. We want to know what is happening as far as the Nigerian Labour is concerned. The president of the Nigerian Labour Congress, Joe Ajaero, will be talking to us and giving us updates on what is happening. I think we should just first and foremost deal with that matter and go back to the issue of the Senate and what happened today. Mr. President NLC joins us, Joe Ajaero. Thank you so much indeed for joining us tonight. Give us an understanding of where we are at as far as the Labour federal government negotiation is concerned. You've suspended the protest and the strike action. So where are we at right now?
Well, thank you very much. Like you rightly pointed out, the protest was suspended after intervention of the National Assembly and the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. And between that time and now, 1 or 2 issues have played out. The Senate promised to get back to us and resolve the matter within 1 week. Just this evening, we got a notice from them inviting us for a meeting tomorrow. On other issues, we are yet to get the modality on the restructured negotiating team, especially the government team, who has it and those that will lead the government team. That one is still pending. However, rising from our next meeting, we decided to take further action on the vexatious position of the Industrial Court and the Ministry of Justice through the Solicitor General that we are sending us letters about contempt, and then the neck of the NLC rose up, giving up to 14th of August for them to withdraw such a summon for contempt or face industrial action, real industrial action, But equally this afternoon, the Minister of Justice through the Solicitor General of the Federation sent a letter to us withdrawing that charge. So far, so good. That's where we are.
So, are you surprised that the contempt process was brought up against Labour?
Very surprised, because from my own understanding, and for any layman or even those that are experts, rally and protest are not the same thing as strike action. And if we allow the issue of rally and protest, civil protest, to be criminalized, that will be the end of this nation. And that was what happened in the case I've been referring to, in the case of AMPP versus Nigerian police that involved Muhammad Buhari, and the appeal court then ruled clearly that, no court, can equally rule out people's rally and the right of people to assemble and equally protest, whatever they don't agree, whatever that doesn't go down well with them. It's instructive for you to know that, immediately after the new PMS price was fixed, some people protested to the National Assembly saying they support it and that they will pay it. And for other people to protest, to say they don't support it, and then you start to flag off, a contempt charge of them, is not how the country should behave. And if you watch almost on a daily basis, the Asari Dokobo group have been protesting along. Nobody has given them any contempt charge, and this one protested by Labour and other Nigerians and the civil society. I can't see how the industrial court, which is a specialized court on labor issues, will now try to, rule against Nigerians, and that would be an aberration. We are shocked, that someone came from them.
So legally speaking, Labour can no longer continue based on the order coming from the industrial court. Is that the case?
Again?
I'm saying that based on what you explained now and the contempt process that the federal government has brought before the industrial court, I'm saying that, but legally speaking, your hands are tied. Labour may not be able to go to the street or go on strike based on that process brought before the industrial court. Is that the case?
Well, if it is this current one, I just announced to you that the same Minister of Justice have withdrawn it, based on our NEC, resolution, calling for its withdrawal. Now, the other one on issue of strike, the law is clear. When they brought the first one, we had the opportunity of obeying it or disregarding it, but we obeyed it. And then a date was fixed for it to be heard. And I think they avoided, hearing it. And if you look at it, when we talk of legally speaking, two parties were having issues. And so a party went to the court and they said status quo remains. However, the parties came back and had an MOU. They agreed. One starts to wonder what the court will be proceeding on. Within some weeks again, the party that went to court violated it. They didn't allow the status quo to remain. They went ahead and increased the price, the purpose for which the first action was intended, and then they went ahead, increased the price instead of remaining where they were as at the time the court met. And then the same court are now trying to charge the party, that has remained faithful to the court order, for contempt, for daring to go into protest. And I want any Nigerian to tell me that rally, is not allowed either for labor union or any Nigerian, in line with the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. So that's the situation. Rally and protest with the labor movement in Nigeria will resist it with the last of their blood to make it, to criminalize it, to allow anybody to criminalize it. To allow them to criminalize it is to tie Nigerians to the servitude forever.
So let's get it clear. I mean, our business here and the reason why we want to keep tabs on this matter, because it's of utmost importance to the lives, the livelihood and the well-being of every Nigerian, including those who are in government and those who are not in government, and those of us who are just ordinary Nigerians doing our daily businesses just as normal. The question here is the offerings of the federal government. What President Bola Tinubu has ruled out as palliatives, as measures, cushion effect to help Nigerians to ease the pain. Are you satisfied? You say you're going to look at it, but you are also asking the federal government to look into a few things. Have you been able to get back to them? You say you have a meeting tomorrow. Have you been able to hear from your members in Labour on some of those areas that will immediately impact on their lives?
Well, we have met severally, and we took so many things to the government. The committees met after the MOU signed with government. the committees met severally and weren't satisfied with what was happening and the fact that the government was still going ahead to increase the pump price of petroleum products. So on the basis of that, we staged that protest, which you saw. And that same day, while we were still coming back from the protest, Mr. President sent for us, the NLC and TUC, and we met with him. And we had used that opportunity to, send it direct to Mr. President, our feelings, on almost all the issues that we took there. On the issue of what the government is calling minimum wage, we were able to clarify, Mr. President, and situate our demand from the context of, wage award. And Mr. President got it, and we agreed on it, in the first instance, that it should be wage award, and it should be, be done urgently, while the issue of minimum wage will be due for review next year. Now, we insisted on the issue of refinery, because it is our belief, that you can't bring down the price of PMS if it is only one source of importation. If the refineries are working here and people are importing, you can manage, the price of PMS. It will definitely come down. We looked at it, and Mr. President, inquired from the Group Managing Director of NNPC, and firm assurance was given, that the refinery in Port Harcourt will start production by December. And we moved further on the CNG, and then we tried to firm it up. Mr. President equally, agreed, unlike what was happening before, that they were going to roll out measures, even the issue of buses to start work immediately while that of CNG is concluded. So with CNG, option on ground, with the plan for the refinery to start working, I think we were a bit, comfortable as it affects that. And there are some other issues. We talked to Mr. President about, the size of his cabinet, in that brief meeting, and that they find that when you finish appointing ministers, the ministers will appoint SAs, and the SAs will appoint SAs to SAs ministers, and they're going to be large. Mr. President said, well, that we from Labour, we should look at it from the point of job creation. He was clear about that many people are getting employment, and that we should not see it as overbloated. Though we don't agree with that, but that was his response. And other measures, to cushion the effect of the increase.
Mr. Ajaero, were you able to tell the president that they needed to cut cost of governance? They needed to tighten their own belt on the other side of the Gulf, and this other side when they're asking Nigerians to tighten their belt?
That was what led to this question, of cost of governance, and then he took it from the point of employment, and then that if this number of people are being engaged, and that is employment. He took his own case, for example. He told us that, if you come to his fleet, a fleet of cars, that it was large, and he made efforts to reduce it, and he was told that it was security issue. He equally went further to say that even his own private jet, he preferred to use his own private jet. And they told him, no, the security issue, he must use the government jet. And he went further to say even himself that he's using only 2-bedroom flats, so that he is trying as much as possible to tighten his belt, and that he will talk to the people, working with him. So I don't know, what that means.
All right. So, Mr. Ajaero, finally, with you tonight, is we would like to know, and speaking on behalf of the Nigerian people, we are their mouthpiece. We are the one bridging the gap between the Nigerian people and government, and we are asking tonight, and we want to know how you are going to be able to follow up on what the government says it will do, because not only saying it, executing it, because after all this is said and everyone goes to their businesses, how are we sure? Are you putting in place a measure in such a way that government will be able to keep to his word for every item? Do you have a committee to monitor, a monitoring scheme or system to ensure that they follow through to what is said?
Well, we are going to do our job as labor unions, and we will not be tired. we are not going to equally be policemen, but every agreement reached into, we must respect and we expect government to respect the sanctity of such agreement. If we agree on certain timelines, we'll keep to it, God's willing.
All right.
And that not going to do any other thing than to do this. And I think that if both parties, believe in this, we'll surely arrive at a meaningful conclusion.
All right. I hope you do, because it's probably going to be in the interest of Nigerians. But this, I'd like to ask you, if things does not go the way of things, these things do not go the way you want, on Wednesday when you are going to meet, tomorrow I guess, you're going to meet them, what will be your final result?
Well, always our own has been dialogue first, but when they fail, we'll go back to our constituency and report back to them. Whatever mandate they give us, whatever the mandate they come out with, whatever action they decide, on, we stand by it. So that's it.
Thank you, Joe. Joe Ajaero, President of the Nigerian Labour Congress, thank you so much indeed for your time. We're putting these in the front burner. Small things are more shouting, grabbing the headlines, but then we need to focus on what exactly affects the Nigerian people, and that's why we're keeping these in the front burner and keeping it right in the faces and in the consciousness of every Nigerian, so that government will be alive to its responsibilities to the Nigerian people, and we keep tabs on what is happening. We will not let these go until we ensure that the right things are done. Thank you so much indeed, Joe Ajaero, for joining us tonight. But let me take you back to our major story tonight, which is what happened today at the Senate. We will not end this program until about 8:30 tonight, an extension of time, so that we can monitor and be able to have conversations around what has happened today. Let me show you what really happened. Mr. Festus Keyamo, you know him. He faced the National Assembly, this Senate, in the screening, and this was what went wrong. Senator Darlington, who is the minority whip, this is what question he posed to him about how Mr. Keyamo reacted to the questions and the query over the public works project which he handled under his office. Take a listen to what happened earlier.
Has started showing us the right hand. We must follow along that side to make sure that we work with him in that right hand as well. Therefore, Mr. President of the Senate, I'm of the opinion that we hold this down a little bit, and I move a motion that we suspend forthwith this nomination and wait until when this is left, so that he can freely work in our environment and tell Nigerians, I have perfectly done well because this record has been put straight. That is my submission, Mr. Senate President. I rest my case.
I do support that this nominee should be stepped down pending when he decides that the National Assembly has that right to inquire into the workings of a minister and his ministry.
Distinguished colleagues, I will put the question again.
Order, please. Distinguished senators, sit down, please.
Distinguished colleagues, I will put the question again.
Order, please.
You have it. That's what happened after those motions moved by opposition lawmakers, Senator Darlington and Senator Abaribe, and that was what happened. Senate adjourned at that time. Senate President went to the presidential villa. They had an executive session. Mr. Keyamo apologized. We look at the politics of the screening. Eventually, he got screened. Eventually, he got confirmed. But 3 names are now missing in the confirmation list. Mr. Nasir El-Rufai of Kaduna State, and also some member from Delta State, Stella Okotete, and Abubakar Danladi from Taraba State. Those 3 names are missing. We'll go on a short break, and Honorable Bimbo Daramola will be analyzing these issues for us, giving us insight on what has happened, and it will be giving us insight on the fact that he's being in the National Assembly, what kind of politics he's playing behind the scene, and what do we need to know why these 3 persons, Nasir El-Rufai and the 2 others, may not get their confirmation immediately. What could have happened? We'll be getting to those insights. Don't forget, we're going up to 8:30. Stick around with me, everyone. We'll be right back.
We are passionate about 2 things in Nigeria. The first is football. The second is our rice. And nobody celebrates like a Nigerian. So, for every goal scored, every mark made, you can be sure to always come back home to rice. Celebrate with Nigerian Premium Big Bull Rice, homegrown just like you. Big Bull Rice, tasty rice, nourished you. We are passionate about 2 things in Nigeria. The first is football. The second is our rice. And nobody celebrates like a Nigerian. So, for every goal scored, every mark made, you can be sure to always come back home to rice. Celebrate with Nigerian Premium Big Bull Rice, homegrown just like you. Big Bull Rice, tasty rice, nourished you.
The Duchess International Hospital opened its doors in October 2021. The mission of the hospital is to reverse medical tourism. We take particular care here at the Duchess to bring together a combination of the brightest and the best locally, as well as Nigerians in the diaspora who are interested in returning to do very good work for the benefit of our patients here in this country.
The good thing is that we had all international expertise here, all international facilities here, international people working here. Everything is coming together in a space which was considered not great in terms of the availability of healthcare.
Axis Bank, of course, has been able to provide us with a robust range of products and services that has enabled us to deliver that standard and quality of healthcare that is integral to our mission as an organization.
That madam be outside, she don't come.
Our daily activities comes with different challenges. In a bid to accomplish your daily task, malaria has a way of getting you into distress. P-Alaxin anti-malaria keeps you capable and ensures you deliver against all odds.
Madam, madam.
I feel your face don't calm down. You feel like malaria no more.
Malaria don't run. Turn to P-Alaxin anti-malaria medicine.
I tell you. Thank you.
P-Alaxin, marketed by Greenlight Pharmaceuticals Limited. P-Alaxin defeats malaria.
I came to him. I think I'm desperate. Is this dress even fine? What if he doesn't like me? He's here. I'm his spec. Joe? Same Joe.
Same Joe, minor differences. Same Joe, minor differences? Don't even think about judging Joe, because you're probably just like him. Why is the name on your business bank account Ahmed Aminu and not your business name? Same business, different name, right? Stop impersonating your business and get an account in your business name with MoneyPoint.
Whatever it takes to make sure you have a business account opened in your business name, we'll do it as your sure banker.
See trouble. Is this not the same name?
Open a bank account in your business name with MoneyPoint.
You're heading home from work. In the busy traffic, your car breaks down. Car horns blast. Your car is pushed aside. You call for help. Phone battery blinks and dies. You take a cab. Few miles, tire bursts. What a day. Frustrated, sweating, and tired. Nearing home, darkness envelops the street. Wow, just one house is bubbling with life. Brilliant lights, loud music, smiling wife, all welcome you.
We alone have light?
Yes, it's JRB Solar Energy Systems, my anniversary present to us.
No matter how dark life is, the sun is gonna shine on everything you do. JRB solar inverters, batteries, solar panels, solar street lights, and more. Telephone 0906 752 1111. Email sales@jrbsolar.com. JRB, the sun is gonna shine on everything you do.
Everyone for staying with us. So I showed you what it looked like when they took up Mr. Keyamo and they wanted to step it down. But there was a closed session, an executive session afterwards, the adjourned session. The Senate President had to go to the villa. He came back. They reconvened at about a few minutes before 4 p.m. And eventually they made Mr. Keyamo do something. Well, if you know him, you might feel that this might be a difficult one for him, but I'll allow you to listen to what exactly Festus Keyamo did when they reconvened. Take a listen to him.
At all, I apologize. There are only two things I just need to say before I go, because we are before the world, one or two things. One is that regarding that program, because when Nigerians hear a figure, their ears go up. Hey, what big figure has been mentioned? No. Regarding that program, every single payment, and I insisted to the past president that it must come from the central bank directly to the accounts of the people who were nominated to receive those funds. And so we as ministers, both ministers in the ministry and the head of the agency at that time that we supervised, never saw one kobo. It was straight, all we needed to do was to generate the lists and pass to the CBN. And the CBN paid directly from the CBN account to those individual accounts. Till today, as I see, we did not see, nothing even came to the account of that agency. And today, I make a promise that the entire register of everybody that received that amount per local government, their accounts, their account numbers, and BVN, we insisted on BVN. Every detail is available at the National Director of Employment. Anybody can go there and ask for a copy. We have it in a flash and confirm every single one with a BVN number. And they are all there for complete transparency. Till today, we did not see one kobo of that. I needed to make that clarification. And like I said, I'm sorry for that misunderstanding.
Festus Keyamo apologizing. They did accept his apology and they moved a motion to adopt his apology, which means that it goes into the record of the National Assembly. It came as a form of a motion which was adopted, and then he was allowed to take a bow and go eventually. Let's get to talk about all of these and also about the three persons. What happened to Nasir El-Rufai? What happened to Stella Okotete and the nominee from Nasarawa State, Bimbo Daramola, a former member of the House of Representatives, has been with me right here in the studio. Thank you so much, Honorable, for joining us tonight. What do you think has been going on? Let's begin with Festus Keyamo's matter. Did you see that coming?
Yes, I knew it was going to happen. Let me tell you two quick things in Yoruba. The first one is Akibaori Adeja Otungbeni. You don't fight the crown and expect that you pray in the name of the crown and your prayers will be answered, number one. Number two is Iya Ajeku. One do know what and the literal translation is that the mother which died And then you go to town, jumping, rejoicing that, oh, the woman who's been traumatizing this town is eventually dead. Don't forget, that's what that axiom is saying. Don't forget that the daughter, that the mother which left behind can also kill.
It's capable of...
oh, absolutely can wreak havoc. Now, between screening and investigation, yes, those two words are used interchangeably, but they mean two different things. And I've tried to research into that. You can screen for yellow fever, but you need to investigate the cause of yellow fever. Direct nexus with this would be that you can screen for, you can investigate for crimes, whether you have certificates or all of that, but you can only screen for comportment. Now, my brother and friend, Festus, extremely cerebral, SAN, you know, and everybody knows him. His record, his history goes before him. Nobody can fault Festus Keyamo SAN on the basis of intellect, all right? But one thing that had become a recurring decimal, unfortunately so also, is the fact that Mr. Festus Keyamo SAN had a feisty relationship with the parliament for all of this time. That would border on disdain, that would border on disrespect. Your body language when you come to parliament. Everybody is watching that, knowing too well that your appearance before the parliament is not just before the 109 or 360 members. It's before an arm of government. So if you're going to walk in with chips on your shoulders and then giving an attitude, and you have non-verbal communication, and the Senate will read that. The parliament all over the world will read that. One time, a very brilliant Nigerian appeared before my committee. I chaired that committee. His name is one of the I've forgotten now, Azikwes or something like that. You know, who used to head SEC or something. And he just came to, he appeared before the committee, and he just strolled in with hands in his pocket. And he didn't make presentation, no documents, he didn't have any paper to speak to. And I told, okay, I wasn't chairing, I was a member of that committee, and I told that committee chair, I said, no, what was his name? Honorable El Sudi. I told him, I said, no, we won't take this guy. You're not appearing, you're not strolling into my lounge or my restroom or something like that. You must dignify the parliament for all it is worth, regardless of whoever makes it into the parliament.
So the National Assembly wants its pride intact.
It's about the institution. And
even if the National Assembly is wrong at some point, you just need to respect them. Is that the case?
Now, let me say this to you.
Because in the case of Keyamo,
lawyers have been
without having to make a judgment on whether the National Assembly was right at the time or Keyamo was wrong or right at the time, even if the National Assembly was right or wrong, you have to still be humble. Is that the case?
Two things. Oh, right. Number one, two things. You must recognize in its entirety that this is not about individuals. This is about institutions, number one. Number two is the fact that the Parliament has historical, institutional memory and historical recollections to say, oh, this guy, when he appeared at this time. And then number three is the fact that these 109 and 360 people are not acting for themselves. They are acting at the behest of the people who voted for them, 220 million of them. And so, whatever respect you give to that institution, and by extension the members, you're already giving it to Nigerians. In any case, ministers are representatives of the president who would act by delegated authority. So you will expect that when you show up, and that is why when you appear before the parliament and you're going to leave, you would have to bow. You don't bow to your subordinates, you bow to your superiors.
So it's to the institution.
Oh yes, when the president, even the president comes to the National Assembly to put the budget of this federation right on the table there, when he finishes his speech and all of that, well, I mean, he goes there and he does this. Have you forgotten? He bows before them. Not bowing to the Senate president, he's bowing to the institution. And you don't bow to your subordinate, you bow to your superior.
Do you think that Mr. Keyamo was humbled in some ways?
I reckon so. And I think...
Or was for the sake of the screening anyway?
And then Senator Darlington, who moved that motion, also was there at the Ninth Assembly, I guess.
A few of them were in the House then.
And then we saw all of these things happen anyway. and most of them are avoidable. What this parliament is also saying is that explain. Don't take it personal.
Even if there are possible underhand dealings,
yes,
allegedly involving some of these lawmakers, you don't think that a citizen has a right to stand his ground?
Shane, let me say something to you. 2 instances will suffice. Bosun Tijani
from Ogun State,
right? And then Festus Keyamo SAN, my brother and friend. You can see that there's an institutional memory. There are recollections that people will keep, or that the institution will keep, and then bring before you. And that is where screening and investigation comes into it. You can be investigated if your certificates are not complete, but comportment is what you screen for. And what the law says is you will be screened. So I expect that now that this has happened, I will expect that a different trajectory starts from here going forward between the parliament and Laden SAN.
You know, there are those who will feel that maybe the National Assembly is up to some vendetta. I mean, you had some fighty, storming sessions with some persons when they choose and cherry pick those words that some of those who are not, who do not really like how the National Assembly or the Senate had gone with their screening process, and those who will say even when you needed to engage intellectuals who could bring substance, they did not. But when they saw those who they think had opposed them in the past, they went after them like a lion saw its prey.
Yeah. It could be read like that.
Like a vendetta?
Well, maybe not vendetta. I mean, I'm not too sure Senator Darlington has anything to expect from any minister. He's a senator anyway. So he's going to run his term. Nobody can take him. He can't get a recall.
If there was no political intervention, because I'm still going to come there, because I discover and I see that it seems that it was a political intervention in the case of Festus Keyamo. It was almost going to be stepped aside.
Yeah. Well, let me say this to you. I digress. I need to give it to this Senate. From this little bit that I see, to the extent that this Senate obviously has showed sense of duty, purpose, and commitment. And they now, this is a clear show of the fact that they recognize that they have a job, they have an obligation to Nigerians. Listen, they have sat through their mandatory recess period, and then in execution of a major duty that may hamper the running of government. So they would rather not go fiddling like Nero and then expect that Rome would survive the ascent. So they have said to themselves, no, we got to clear these guys, make sure that the components of government are in place before we go on recess, wherever they find themselves. So that's a sense of duty and purpose, and I give it to them. And I digress a little bit. The President of the Senate, His Excellency Godswill Obot Akpabio, I think has done well. He's managed the House in a manner that would suggest that, yes, I want to be seen to be doing the right thing. So sometimes very indulgent. Senate gets very indulgent sometimes. And Nigerians are sticky about that. And legitimately so. There are people that have showed up before this Senate that Nigerians feel that, no, we wouldn't like these guys to be screened and all of that. But the truth of the matter is that the ultimate decision of who goes through the portals of the National Assembly and walks into the Federal Executive Council depends on what the decision these 109 guys make.
We'll take a break. But when we come back, Honorable, we will look in details. I know from day one, you never like to be called an honorable. You like to be called a congressman, but you're not in the United States.
It doesn't matter, but it's a presidential system of government anyway.
Just like parliament will not work, it's not a term that is allowable in Nigeria. Legislature is what allows it. But that's what we adopted. That's what we adopted.
It's not.
That's what we adopted.
If we adopted something and that's something we have adopted in error, I have the duty to say no. This is in error. You just talked about cherry picking now. So you pick what you like and you drop. Okay, we're National Assembly. It's the Congress there.
So, the same way you will look at the word analyzing, and the Americans will use ZEED and the English we use the S. The same way, the honorable member.
Your PhD now, so I'm not as.
We take a break, everyone. When we come back, Congressman, that's what we call him, my former member of the House of Reps, is still with us, and we're going to be talking more in details on the politics of the screening exercise. So President Bola Tinubu now has 45 men and women that will be serving as cabinet members. 3 people are now being left out. Nasir El-Rufai of Kaduna State, Abubakar Daladi of Nasarawa State, Stella Okotete from Delta State. Will these people be able to get confirmed? If not, what will happen? Can President Bola Tinubu get his cabinet in place tomorrow or whenever? Because there's a lot of work to be done. The nation needs to be fixed. We'll take a break and we'll be right back, everyone. Join us again.
This is your moment. Now is your time. Come on. Reach out and take it. The ladder's here to climb. And with every step you take, you will know that you've got the help to reach your goal.
Hello, class. Let us begin.
Now, let me tell you about Safari Valley Eco Resort, the first of its kind in West Africa. Upon your arrival, you are introduced to your butler, who plans your itinerary.
We were surrounded by wildlife from the moment we entered the eco park.
So many activities, all in the same premises. Visit the gym or the stables, they have it all. At my break, I'm able to practice my putting.
We also went fishing on a man-made canal. Our tour guides taught us so much about the wildlife and how to interact with them.
They used only electric vehicles here. This creates a serene environment. I'm told it's over 1,000 acres. My cabin here sits on 2 acres with a large terrace space overlooking my private swimming pool. Now this is royalty. They have their own farms, thousands of fruit trees. I can also have my lunch here at the waterfall. Quite a beautiful place you have here.
Visit Safari Valley Eco Resort in Ghana, bringing you closer to nature.
Like many things in life, making great music is a process. And a key part of that is the right data and the data that helps you understand what needs to be done and how to do it and what sound will connect with listeners.
Bring it up. Let's go everybody.
Whatever aspect of life you're into, enjoy the journey. 9 Mobile's got you covered.
Dial *301# now. 9 Mobile.
My name is David Oladeji Bolare. I'm the CEO, founder of Synergy Guards Nigeria and Synergy Guards UK. I'm also the CEO of David's Court. I got to know about Adrian Holmes through a neighbor of mine,
This is David Court, located in one of Adron Homes Estate, Ocean View Estate, Ibejuleki. This area is called the Neo Lagos. This is a dream come true. My advice to individuals is to have a plan and follow those plans to the latter. The Adron Home template is a great one. You can have your bits of the great concept like I'm doing right now. Tap into their dreams to achieve and execute your future.
Adron Homes.
Building cities, communities, and homes.
Thank you so much, everyone, for staying with us. Abubakar Danladi from Taraba State, not Nasarawa State. Stella Okotete for Delta State. Nasir El-Rufai of Kaduna State. The 3 persons have not been confirmed, and we understand these are about the issues of security. Congressman Bimbo Daramala, former member of the House of Reps, has been speaking with us on the program tonight. Thank you so much indeed.
Sure.
You look at the manner in which these have gone, the screening exercise, and you also look at the quality of persons. Do you think that the president, considering his history in Lagos and the fact that you look at the kind of people that has worked with him, that worked with him before, the Professor Yemi Oshibajo, the Babatunde Fashola, the Opeyemi Bamideles of this world, the Wale Eduns, the Dele Alakes of this world, that have worked with him when they were way younger, 20 years or more years ago. And you look at even the Amber days, the present governor, Babajide Sanwo-Olu, that have worked with him, and the caliber of intellectuals that have been around him, and you compare them with the quality of cabinet for the 8 persons that he has put together, are you impressed?
Am I impressed? Well, yes, and partly no. First and foremost, give it to President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Is renowned for headhunting. We heard that. And of course, there are a number of people out of these 48 that everybody will nearly say, oh, good check, good check, good check. And there are people, that you feel that, granted what I know about these guys, granted, now make no mistakes about this, when the president nominated his cabinet in Lagos, that's Lagos State, okay? This is Nigeria, where all manner of things are going to come into consideration. It goes beyond, okay, let me backtrack a little bit. When he was governor in Lagos State, he was a lot younger, and then he had so much of energy, I believe he still does, But right now, he would have to deal with sensibilities. You just saw Senator Nwoye raised a matter of national importance, talking about the number of ministerial nominees coming from the Southeast.
5 from Southeast, 9 from Northwest,
right?
About 10 or so from Northwest, Southwest 9.
Yeah,
But not central, I think about 7.
So, and that's legitimate. You remember that the Senate president had to call the Senate leader who has also done very well. I'm not surprised that he's done so well, but in quick turnaround time, and come on. Now, he called him and called Senator Nway and intervened. And I reckon that that matter will also be solved politically. But let me say this to you. Alongside every one person that we've had issues about their nomination, we've also found a Bosun there. Bosun Tijani there, who I bet the president had never met. So give it to him.
41-year-old.
41-year-old. He had never met Bosun. And granted the kind of things that people presented on the floor of the Senate about Bosun, an ordinary president, another regular human being would have said, hey, trash this name. But guess what? He said, no, for the quality and the capacity that he seemed to have coming from the private sector, and enough to send a non-verbal communication to Nigerians that I can deal with inclusiveness. I can deal with the fact that young people also have something to deliver. Oh yeah, bring Bosun to the train. That's on that side. But there are also people that I feel that maybe they're a little bit tired. Maybe they should. Maybe the space, the political space also would do well to have them take a breather and then have fresh of clean hair. You know, but then it's okay. In the judgment of the president, we will expect that he had gone through all of this, and then he had thought them through, and then probably felt that, okay, fine, this guy has the capacity to do this and capacity to do that. Ultimately, highs on the ball.
So you look at the likes of Dr. Tunji Alausa, a nephrologist.
Look at that.
Fantastic profile.
Look at that.
You look at, like, look at the likes of Lola Adejon. You look at the likes of Tunji Ojo, a two-time member electronics and communications engineering from London Metropolitan University.
Look at that.
You look at quite a list of personalities. Tahir Mamman, professor of law.
Dr. Pate.
Dr. Pate. You look at these caliber of persons. In fact, better, Edu, perhaps one of the youngest in the Lord, and a medical doctor who is being a former commissioner in our state and all what have you. But a mixture, like I said, a mixed bag, you will call it. But then, what comes out to you the most in all of these? Because not only having nominees that are capable, that have good profile, is also knowing where to put them.
Oh, yeah.
You have more than 4 or so medical doctors already in that team.
Yeah.
Just like Buhari had almost 10 lawyers in his team.
Well, a lot of people have spoken about this, that maybe the 10th Senate and 10th National Assembly will go down their path and compare, introduce our clause in the nomination of people for positions. Maybe the 10th Assembly can have the president also furnish the Senate with positions alongside names. Maybe that will also help them to screen them.
This is not the first time.
Yeah.
I mean, since...
but again,
this is not the first time that Nigerians and even senators have always said this.
Yeah.
If the screening is to help Nigerians know the caliber and also even prepare the minds of those who are coming forward, I think there should be a law in place that going forward, no president should transmit names of members of our nominees without portfolios, don't you think?
Well, I mean, like we've said that, but you see, the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, as we speak today, leaves a whole lot to discretion. Section 148, clearly, subsection 1, addresses that. The president may, in his discretion, assign to the vice president or the minister of the government of the Federation responsibility for any business of the government of the Federation, including the administration of any department. So it's discretionary.
Well, so I'm saying, just the same way there was an amendment, a fifth alteration to the Constitution, which included that the president and the governors will now have to transmit names of their cabinet members in 60 days before.
Yeah.
It was unending.
President Buhari didn't bring anybody.
Does it make sense for us to go through this screening without having portfolios to question them on?
Brilliant question.
The question someone on medical, the person gets to be taken to water resources. So it's sheer waste of energy and
maybe
time.
Don't look at it very clinically like that. You will expect that you can also test a man who has capacity. in different areas. The only areas where you cannot send, it would not be expected that you're sending non-professionals to, would be places like aviation. Because basic thing is the fact that you have demonstrated some capacity from where you're coming from.
Okay. Abubakar Danladi from Taraba, Stella Okotete from Delta, Nasir El-Rufai, not confirmed. What comes to your mind?
Well, let me pick the last one. Governor El-Rufai. I watched that screen. I watched him before the Senate. Of course, I digress a little bit. He also, on the downside of it, has had some feisty time with the National Assembly from his days as BPP. But I'm not too sure that that's the issue. I remember that Senator Karimi stood up and then raised an envelope like that and then showed it and said, well, I like the fact that you are capable, you are competent and all that. I said, but write in this document, write in this envelope, I have something, a petition against you that borders on security. Yeah.
And that's enough?
Oh, yeah. Whatever that may be. And I'm too sure this matter will sit before the president. I'm too sure President of the Senate, Godswill Akpabio, and if it's something that they can negotiate and walk through it, I'm too sure they will. You know, I am not too sure that the capacity of Nasir El-Rufai is in doubt. I'm not too sure. A whole lot of people may not agree with me, and I have my issues a little bit about that as well. But the truth of the matter is that for whatever reason, that reason must be cogent enough. And then for Stella Okotete, I think she pitched the Senate very well, spoke the right words. As executive director, she said right things, and she's flaunted what she's done as well. So only God and the Senate knows what's going on there. Abubakar Danladi may be the same thing, for the same reasons.
Bimbo Daramala, former member of the House of Reps, likes to be called a congressman. Thank you so much indeed.
I used to work in Congress.
You worked in the National Assembly, not in the Congress.
Okay.
But one day, maybe you might find yourself in the American Congress.
No, I don't carry two passports. I have just one passport.
All right, thank you so much. But before I leave you, everyone, I'd like to bring to your notice what we dealt with here in the program on Friday. It was about the governor of Edo State and his deputy, Philip Shaibu. About now, the governor has broken his silence over that matter and has been speaking about it. And I'd like you to listen to what really happened between both men, who sometimes I thought that they were siblings of the same father and mother, now in the political field. Take a listen to Governor Obaseki.
There's no timetable yet for the Edo elections. It will come later in the year. So I believe that this action by him is just a preemptive move to get a court order, keep his position while he now moves to the other party to get a ticket. And I think it's unfair on our party, it's unfair on the state, that we don't need these sort of crises. We've had too many of these crises, and and our state is not being represented well locally and nationally. I've been getting calls from all over, the world, and it's rather sad.
Governor Godwin Obaseki speaking about the relationship and the sort of a rift between himself and Comrade Philip Shaibu, the deputy governor of Edo State, who we understand that may have an ambition to becoming governor, and things are really not going well. They've gone to court, and the deputy governor says there are plans to impeach him. And he says that the governor is behind it. So you're hearing now from the governor on this matter. Well, that's how we leave it, everyone. An extended version of the program because of our continued coverage of the ministerial nominees screening by the Nigerian Senate. Thank you so much, everyone, for watching. I'll see you tomorrow again at 7 p.m. I'm Seun Okimale. God bless Nigeria.
Practice of breastfeeding a baby from 1 hour of life, ideally,
up to 6 months of life with purely breast milk.
The theme for the 2023